with great, with excellent humor, with entertainment. That is the beauty of that guy's teaching style. Let us talk about humor very much. Today we have a three session as usual. One is a prepared speech session, the second is a table topic session, final evaluation sessions. So first we will go for the prepared speech session. Before that, I'd like to introduce the tag team of today's meeting. A T for timer, A for accountant, G for grammarian. The timer, what will do, even though we make a humor, but we have to complete in the on time, then only it will give the value for our speech. It will entertain us. Let me invite the timer of today's meeting, Toastmaster Vinay, to introduce himself and his role about timer role. Over to Toastmaster Vinay.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Siva. Time is something we all have in common, but seldom use it equally. That's something which we need to keep in mind and ensure that we keep up the time in today's meeting. And my role as a timer is to evaluate the speakers who have 5 to 7 minutes to give their prepared speeches. At 5 minutes, I would be displaying the green card. At sixth minute, I would display the yellow. And at seventh minute, I would display the red card, after which the speaker has 30 seconds as a buffer to wrap up the speech, and the red card would stay on until the speaker concludes. The second would be for me to go ahead and evaluate, to time the evaluators, and that would be between 2 to 3 minutes. And at 2 minutes, it would be the green card, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, the yellow, and at 3 minutes, I would flash the red card. And similarly, for those who take up the wonderful topics session, and those will be timed between 1 to 2 minutes. And at 1 minute, the green card would come up, 1 minute, 30 seconds, the yellow, and at 2 minutes, the red card would flash. And now I'm crossing my fingers that my camera just stays on. Since yesterday, I've been having trouble with my laptop, but let's just see. Please spin my screen, and I would be changing the backgrounds, which is going to just look like this. But definitely you won't have those, since I'm going to plain screen that, and that would be yellow, and that's red. It's going to look this particular way, which is going to be much better. Okay, thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster Arul. Thanks.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vinay. So, Toastmaster Vinay Murthy from Ripple's Toastmaster Club is always supporting and charming face, always inspire us with his role taking. Thank you, Toastmaster, once again. So, let me call our accountant of today's meeting, Toastmaster Namida, who is always patient with his perfection. Please let me welcome the Toastmaster Namita, our peer of our meeting, our club. Over to Toastmaster Namita.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shiva. Well, what should I say? There will be so many uh filler words which I'll be keeping track of today. And I'll be noting down each and every word. I'll be listening to you keenly, and I'll provide my report when Toastmaster Shiva asks for it. Over to you, Shiva.
Yeah, thank you, Toastmaster Namita. Let me call uh, our inspiring speaker and what I can tell. Let me invite our grammarian of our today's meeting, Toastmaster Catherine, to introduce about her role of today's meeting. Over to Catherine.
Thank you, Toastmaster Siva. Our word of the day today is readable. Readable as in funny, or causing or intended to cause laughter. How we use the word risible, a risible comment that made the whole class laugh. Today, Toastmasters and guests, I will be looking out for the great use of the English language, our grammar, and also the improper use of the English language. I will give a report and make a few recommendations at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Toastmaster Siva.
Yeah, thank you, Toastmaster Catherine. Thank you, tag team. This is a team going to monitor and control and set the entire meeting go well. So let us see their evaluation and the evaluation session itself. Let us go for the first session, the prepared speech session. We have the two speaker. One is an experienced speaker, another one is a new member to our club. The first we go for the experienced speaker speech. Toastmaster Jim, so who is going to deliver? He is the president of our club. To evaluate a speech, we have a one-on-one TTM in our club. The TTM Susan is going to evaluate a speech. So let me invite DTM Susan to read out the objective about Toastmaster Jim's speech. Over to TTM Susan.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Today, Jim will be speaking from the Pathways Project Presentation Mastery. It is a level 3 elective. The project is using descriptive language. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice writing a speech with an emphasis on added language to increase interest and impact. Jim's speech will be 5 to 7 minutes long, and the title is It's All Music to Me. Please help me welcome Jim Denson.
Thank you, TTM Sim, TTM Susan. It's all music to me. It is all music to me. Toastmaster Jim, over to you.
I'm 10 years old. It's 1971, and there I am in the thick of the school chorus spring concert. And I'm armed with a trumpet, which I had been studying for a couple of years. I was going to do a trumpet duet with my fellow chorus member and trumpeter Brian Greer. We were going to do a duet together on the song called Take This Hammer. Now, our teacher, Ralph Cesaretti, predicting that we might be a little nervous, he said, listen, guys, I'm going to just have you face me and face your fellow chorus members. You won't have to face the audience. Your backs will be to the audience. Great move on his part, very compassionate, but it really didn't help me so much because my knees were doing percussion so badly. I was so scared that they were shaking like never before. And it was a risible moment afterward. We could all laugh at it. But at the time, it was crazy scary. I'm happy to say that we did the song very well. The audience loved it. And not long after that performance, I left trumpet for my own childish reasons. But in the years since then, I realized that my main inspiration for taking up the trumpet in those years was a guy by the name of Louis Armstrong, known, considered by many to be the greatest jazz trumpeter in history. Now, why was he an inspiration to me? It wasn't only how he played the trumpet, but in a documentary that I saw years later, the narrator remarked how passionate he was, not only when he played the trumpet, but when he sang, and by the way he lived. Louis Armstrong was an example of what I call a triple threat communicator, being able to communicate passionately and well in more than one way. I wanted that too. And so since I had quit trumpet, I was looking for another way to do that because as I've mentioned in many other speeches, I had a stuttering problem. I had to do something. So 1999, many years later, I decided to start taking voice lessons in New York City for singing. 6 years after that, with my teacher, Jocelyn Rasmussen, as my guide, I was able to, in 2005, do my first 2 paid performances as a jazz singer, accompanied by a beautiful and splendid jazz trio, piano, bass, and drums. I cannot tell you to this day how exciting and how sublime it was. I got to choose all of my material. I planned the songs I was going to sing, and I could sing it in my way. It was incredible. Those were great times. But I knew after the final two performances I gave in 2006, I knew that as much as I love singing, it couldn't be a sustainable career choice for me. I had to find something else, another way to become more comfortable in my own skin. Singing did a lot for me, but it wasn't quite enough. Enter 2013 and Toastmasters. I joined the first of 3 clubs. And of course, as you all are fellow speakers, you know what the path is and what the goal is to become the best speaker possible. What are the parallels between playing the trumpet and singing and public speaking? To some, it might not sound like they are connected, but to me, they really are, because in each of those endeavors, what I really wanted to do was just communicate. As a trumpeter, what I had to do was to play the song that was presented in front of me. I wasn't very attentive to the lyrics, but the song that we played that night, Take This Hammer, in doing research for this speech tonight, I realized that the song Take This Hammer was historically significant, because after the Civil War, even though Black people were officially free, they were still subject to incarceration for many reasons from those who were more socially privileged. So that song was written by inmates, Black inmates, who were either working on railroads or were in some form under the thumb of someone else. So that song was a song of protest as well as resilience. Parallels between singing, speaking, and playing the trumpet. It has to be, well, first of all, I think that having passion for what you're doing and caring about what it is that you're doing is fundamental. If you don't have the passion, you're not going to be able to communicate it to those who are watching you and those who are listening. That's the first thing. Secondly, I think that it's important that whatever you're doing, it has to fit the occasion. So for playing a musical instrument, whatever it is, if you're playing something fast-paced, it has to, your energy level has to convey that. The same thing in terms of public speaking. When we talk about vocal variety, it's the same thing. You want to be able to keep the interest of the audience while also staying true to your theme and having something that the audience members can take away that's concrete. So in closing, whether it's trumpet playing, whether it's singing, whether it's speaking, the demands are the same. And given my interests, each one of those endeavors for me has kept me going, because it has all been music to me. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmasters Jim. Can you please give a huge round of applause for his speech delivery? Thank you once again. Before going to have the next speaker speech, let me call the Sparash as our new guest who joined in this meeting. So Parash, can you please introduce yourself
Hi everyone, I hope my voice is audible.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hi everyone, this is Toastmasters Persh from Stagecoach Hyderabad Toastmasters. It's my first time joining this meeting. I just saw the invite on the group and I just joined to have a good time and learn new things from the people here. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you very much. So tell us something about humor. So what impacting your personal?
So for me, earlier I used to be a very straightforward person, say things whatever it is. But after a while, I realized life is not that happy, and if you do not have humor in anything you do, sometimes you feel lifeless. Sometimes people say you live for few days and decades, but humor is one of the things that makes you live decades in just few days. So yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. That no doubt. Thank you very much for sharing that. So let us go for the second speaker speech. To give the second speech, we have the new members, Toastmaster Uwit. So she's going to deliver a first speech in our club, icebreaker speech. To read out the objective about the speaker's speech, let me invite Toastmaster Udaya from Electronic City Toastmaster Club from Bangalore. So, Toastmaster Udaya, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Siva Arul. Hello, everyone. Today, the icebreaker speaker, it is going to attempt presentation mastery pathway, icebreaker speech. The purpose of the speech is the member to introduce themselves to the club and learn the basic structure of public speech. Timer, please note down, time limit is 4 to 6 minutes. All the best to the speaker. What to you, Toastmaster of the Day?
Thank you, Toastmaster Udaya. A 6 minute introduce about myself. A 6 minute introduction about myself. Over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Thank you for granting me audience as I make my first icebreaker speech today. My name is Yvette Kondo, and the title of my speech is A Little About Me. Did you know that in Ghana, my birth country, everyone has a name based off of the day on which they were born? Mine is Akwavi, which in my dialect means I was born on a Wednesday. Having shared that fun fact about myself, I'll be telling you a little bit more about who I am, what I do, and why I joined the Toastmasters. To start off, I was born and raised in Ghana, which is a country in West Africa, and also the first country in Africa to gain independence from colonial rule. I'm also the first of 3 children. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. The interesting thing about us is that if you saw all 3 of us together, you would think that I was the youngest, because I'm the shortest and the smallest in size among the 3 of us. I'm also fairer in complexion, and I bear a striking resemblance to my mom. I first moved to the US, precisely Chicago, about 10 years ago to pursue a graduate degree in statistics. I currently live in California with my husband, who I first met while we were both undergraduates back in Ghana. For hobbies, I enjoy solving word puzzles and also mentoring others. I enjoy solving problems in general. Little wonder my chosen path of career is in data science. So I am a data scientist, and I've been a data scientist for 8 years and still counting. When people ask me what a data scientist does, I liken it to what a detective does when trying to solve a crime case. They talk to witnesses, they collect physical evidence, they search records through databases, and do some analysis and come up with conclusion based on the evidence they've gathered to convict a criminal. I do a similar thing by gathering, cleaning, and analyzing data to generate insights that help business stakeholders make informed decisions. In my line of work, I need to communicate with both technical and non-technical people. I consider myself a good writer, but sometimes I find it challenging to communicate clearly and concisely in a coherent manner, off the cuff. And for that reason, I have joined the Toastmasters so that I would be able to learn and practice active listening and how to communicate effectively, doing all that in a friendly environment. So in summary, I have told you a little bit about myself, my birth country, my family, my hobbies, what I do as a data scientist, and why I joined the Toastmasters. And with this, I round up my first Toastmaster speech. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Yuvit. What a great start. Can you please give a huge round of applause to that speech? Thank you. So we have completed the first session. So let us go for the second session. So the second session is one of the important session. So it's a table topic session. It's an impromptu session as well. So anybody can talk. Even a guest also can talk for 1 to 2 minutes. To handle the table topic session, we have the experienced Toastmaster, even the TTM. So please help me to welcome TTM Susan, the table topic master of today's meeting. Over to TTM Susan.
Thank you, Siva. I love today's theme. Humor is good for us. It's healthy. They say laughter is the best medicine. Did you know that 15 minutes of laughter can equal the benefit of 2 hours of sleep, or can help you burn off 40 calories? Goodness gracious, I need to laugh more. We need to do that. I'm going to ask questions, and I am first going to ask the question, then I'm going to ask for volunteers. That way everyone gets their thought processes going, and we can do that. So Deanna's got her hand raised first. So the first one up, Deanna, and you'll write yours in the chat. What's your favorite style of humor? What's your favorite style of humor? And while Deanna writes up that, I am going to ask the next question and ask for volunteers. So, who is the funniest person in your family? Who is the funniest person in your family? Jim, first hand up.
Thank you for the question. And for me, it is a rather easy one. My brother, Marvin. We're we're a year apart in age. He's a year older than I. The thing that makes him so funny is that he is a great mimic. And part of what made growing up with him so much fun is that he was able to just mimic the people who we all loved the most. And that meant our family members. So whatever mannerisms they had, he would watch and he would study and he would know. And he could walk like them, he could sound like them, and he didn't do it to their faces, obviously, but growing up with him was such a blast because we never knew what it was he was going to do or what he was going to say or when he would pull out that imitation of our Uncle James or our Aunt Eva, whatever it is, to just break the tension. He always knew how to do that. So the funniest person in my family, my brother Marvin, and he will always be valued for that and many other things too. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Next question up. What tickles your funny bone? What tickles your funny bone? Need a volunteer. Namita.
Thank you, Susan. Well, the unexpected timing of a joke that is quite funny to me because you are just having a normal conversation with your friend or someone you know, and this is something which I don't expect. And that surprise really cracks me up. Apart from that, I'm a huge fan of sitcoms and rom-coms. I have seen Friends, How I Met Your Mother, The Big Bang Theory, That 70s Show, Young Sheldon, and Malcolm in the Middle, what not. And I've watched Friends like around 20 times and How I Met Your Mother around 15 times because I used to watch them before sleeping. Before I knew yoga and meditation, that was my way of coping with the stress and anxiety. So those characters and the dialogues, my God, they're still funny. Friends is evergreen, and How I Met Your Mother is heartwarming. Big Bang Theory totally depends on my mood, but yeah, and rom-coms, like so many rom-coms come to my mind. You Have Got a Mail and A Little Bit of Heaven or The Intern, and all these rom-coms are coming to my mind and I'm unable to pick one of them. So yeah, these are the main sources of my funny funny laughs. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Namita. Next, I'm going to ask, what is the funniest joke you've ever heard? What is the funniest joke you've ever heard? Not all of us are really good at telling jokes. I'm one who usually forgets the punchline. I get stalled on it. But what's the funniest joke you've ever heard? Any joke tellers in the room? Well, I'm just going to have to share one with you then. Oh, go ahead, Catherine. Perfect. Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know if you will find this funny, but sorry for making that disclaimer. I said it because it is referring to women. While we do our makeup, we always shape our eyebrows. And when we shape our eyebrows in the past, people shaped them very thin. And when they shaped them very thin, there was somebody who made a comment that we shape them so well that we aim to look surprised. And I found that very funny because I don't know how you can, stay surprised the whole day, So that's the funniest I have had. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it reminds me of having my bangs cut for senior prom, and my hair is rather curly. My mom cut them to about my eyebrow length. Halfway through the evening, my bangs were about this tall, and everyone noticed that I had this look of surprise on me, trying to stretch the eyebrows up to reach the hair. I must say, it's funny now. It didn't seem funny in those pictures at the time. Next. When was the last? Oh, they say that babies laugh as many as 300 or 400 times a day in children, but adults less than 15 to 20 times a day. When was the last time something caused you to laugh out loud, and what was it? I'm seeing a smile on Sparsh. He's got a smile. Go for it.
Thank you, Toastmaster Suzanne, for this opportunity. Recently, I went to a couple of my friends' house for a party or something, and there was one of my friend who was very fed up of the work that particular day because he was working on some particular company A portal, and that thing was not working for days, and he was just fed up of that. While at the same time, my another very good friend worked at the same company A who used to build those products. Then I said to my friend Rahul, who was fed up, that these people at company A don't do their work, and because of that, we all have to suffer. And then he didn't know my friend worked at company A, so he started saying everything bad what he can say. At the same time, there were 3 or 4 of my friends who also used that company A's product, and everyone started to say bad things, not about that product. Now everyone started to say bad things about the people of company A doing nothing, and they just build as bad products that they can build. And at the same time, now this person who works at that company, he started saying, no, people are not that good. They build great products. And after 5 minutes, the debate was like people at company A should leave. Now, at the same time, when everyone was saying things like this, I said, this guy works at company A, and everyone just burst into laughter. So yeah, that's it. That's from my side. And we were just risible, like we couldn't control ourselves.
Very good. Thank you. Isn't it delightful? I did see a second hand go up. Mohini, did you also want to answer that same question? Because I saw your hand raised at almost the same time as Sparsh. Mohini? Perhaps she's disengaged for the moment. All right, I'm going to ask, who is your favorite comic or comedian and why? Deanna, we'll get to you in a minute, okay? We'll try to get everybody to have a chance to participate. Any takers on this? Who is your favorite comic or comedian and why? I see the wheels turning. Volunteers?
Can I go?
By all means, go ahead.
Hello. I born and brought up in India, southern part of India. We speak language called Tamil, and my favorite comedian is Counter Money. Ever since my childhood, I used to grow up watching his comedy and slapstick comedy, and it becomes a bit that even I try to make fun with my friends, giving the counter to whatever they say, words, particular choice of words, the reactions, which was very funny and very intellectual too. His comedies, and you can't imagine that he will bring that sense of humor when someone speaks. So he was very my favorite comedian, which I grown up watching him. And yeah, Counter Money is the name, and he is my favorite comedian because of his timing sense in giving the counter to when someone speaks. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. It seems that everyone has a different story or a different flavor of what makes them laugh out loud. But please remember, laughter is the best medicine and it can help. Mohini, did you want to participate and answer that same question that Sparsha answered? What was the last time something caused you to laugh out loud? You're
Do you have
muted.
the
Go
time?
ahead.
Do you have the time? Is it okay?
We do. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not a very humorous person. Recently, taking part in the humorous contest, I had a big problem. I deliberately tried to join it, but nothing humorous comes to my mind. Even as of now, as I'm thinking, nothing really comes. In contrast, I remember this person who, one of the Rotary clubs, he's a very senior person, but every time he opens his mouth, he's got the capacity to make people laugh. I think humor is inborn. I don't think it can be cultivated because I write down so many things, but then when you have to speak, it never comes to my mind. So the best way that I could laugh was in our yoga class, when we do our breathing techniques, we have this laughter session when we lift our hands up and say ha 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 ha, very loud, and laugh from our inner being wholeheartedly. And after that, we do a silent laugh when we don't voice out the ha ha ha, but we do it silently. We say, and the laughter really happens. And at the end, we feel so rejuvenated and so good. Laughter is really so beautiful. It brightens up our face, relaxes our facial muscles. And internally, it does a lot of things inside, I'm sure. But then when we get stuck with humor, we really are stuck. Over to your topics, Master.
Wonderful. Thanks so very much. And I am going to, before I close, read out loud Deanna's response. Her response was, "Thank you, Toastmasters, madam. My favorite is Dead, Risible, that act movies, the characters from 1945, Risible Walk, Risible Fall, I can't see the rest of the words, Moon, and he was Fight the Dead, Risible from Cold, Ground, Risible. I think that our movie, our horror film, thanks Deanna. She uses the word a day, every other word it seems, and we love you for that. I leave you just a final thought that they say, studies, that having a sense of humor can actually help us live longer. And we don't laugh because we're happy. We're happy because we laugh. I'll share that I'm married to the funniest fella on earth. He tells jokes all of the time, and I did not have a single funny bone in my body. However, thanks to Toastmasters, I have enjoyed the engaging humor path twice now, and I'm actually finding some of my funny. I actually belong to a humor-based club in Florida that is online only, and I am having the opportunity to exercise the humor. And just last week, we had a session on improv, and it made me burst out laughing. I couldn't stop crying. I was laughing so hard. I wish that for all of you. Laughter truly is the best medicine. I'm going to return control to you, Mr. Toastmaster Siva.
Thank you, TTM session. What a great session, what a wonderful session. Most of the people talked in this session. Can you please give a huge round of applause to TTM session for the wonderful session? So we have completed the two sessions. The final, before going to the final session, we can talk about the humor. We all know humor give everything to us. It will motivate us. Even we can motivate others to do better. It will give a lot of energy. It will give a good mindset. So, super. If you get some humor from others, even if we are tired, even we are in sad mood, we can't able to talk, even we can't express anything with us. Let us listen it. People used to talk with others. If you talk with others by listening the humor, or else if you do the humor in front of others, there's no word. You can get involved. You can forget your feeling. You can forget your sadness. How people ask me whether you can make a humor, who you can give a humor. how you can make a human in front of others. Even I tried, even one of my evaluator told, you have a naturally humor in your speech, but you can improve. How you can improve? He said, man make a mistake. The mistake man make perfect. That's what I'm doing even today also. If you have love with you, people laugh with you. If you don't have love with you, people laugh at you. That's what. Be love with you and make love others along with you by doing humor. So let us go for the final session, evaluation session. To give the timing report, let me invite Toastmaster Vinay to present the timing report of today's meeting.
Not
Over
yet.
to
We need the
Toastmaster.
evaluations. Siva, we still need the evaluations first.
Susan, you're telling something?
The evaluators need to speak first before the timing report.
Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, let me invite TTM Susan to present Jim's speech evaluation. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and Jim. You are the consummate storyteller. You set the setting for us. We heard 1971, 10 years old. We can picture it. Full regalia of the trumpet, armed with that trumpet. We were right there with you, imagining by the use of your words that gave us the full picture of what was going on. You further explained that you had your back to the audience and your knees were doing percussion. We could just imagine that picture of your knees knocking together. The phraseologies that you used surely put us right there in that image. It is so picturesque. You then further enhanced your message by saying it was crazy scary. And we heard that in your voice inflection as well, which enhanced your message. You went on to give us a tribute of why you went into the trumpet inspiration, Louis Armstrong, and the documentary. And I love that you're always filling us with additional information about people we may or may not know all the details for. But you take it a little further because you describe it in such a way after your voice lessons, you were talking, it was exciting and sublime. The word choices are outstanding. I appreciated you acknowledging that it's not a sustainable career choice for you and you needed to do something else. But then joining Toastmasters and bringing us through that part of your journey and find the parallel between Toastmasters and the trumpeting as a communications way to share the music or the lyrics or the ability to communicate well and get your message across. I also love that you close with some other importance of historical lessons that some of us may not be as much aware of. I love how you put that in your speeches, that you're able to inform us and then recap. To have the passion is so fundamental and it has to fit the occasion, and that you are able to wrap it all back up with your title to say, it's all been music to me. The profound way that you speak, the word choices that you have, enhance your speech throughout. The only suggestions I could make to enhance this speech is perhaps if you would have an adventure of perhaps a slide or two. Show us a picture, maybe of yourself at 10 years old, or at least of a trumpet, and then go on and show a picture of our friend Louis Armstrong and give us just another gift to take that picture. You did it all with words and painted it for us, but those would be the suggestions I would make to have this speech go from where it was as good to great. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, TTM Susan, for the wonderful evaluation. Let me call the second evaluator, Toastmaster Udaya to present is your report. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Toastmaster URT. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Yes.
Yep.
Congratulations for completing the first project, and you did a great job. I love the smile you had in your face throughout the speech. You are smiling throughout the speech, and you are very confident. And you come up with the risible story, funny part about the siblings. You are the oldest born, and you are shorter. It was very funny, and it brings the audience connect. That is what icebreaker part in the speech. And you talked about your personal life, where you born and you ended up where in California. You talked about all the personal things and professional things, which was very clear knowledge about each and everyone know who is URT. And the beauty of your speech is you come up with a summary. Toastmasters struggle to learn the skill, but you had at the first icebreaker speech, you know how to summarize the speech. And it is a very important skill you already have in your speech. No, however, I have a certain couple of improvements on your delivery part. The first point is eye contact. It was very usual human thought that we should look upside when we speak. It is very common. Work on your eye contact. Try to make eye contact with the people. Try to look at the camera. Second part, pauses. When you practice more, at least 10 to 15 times, your pauses will automatically reduce. Third point, the reflection on your glass. I noticed when you speak, there are reflection on your glasses. So I'm not able to get the clear eye movement from your speech. These are three points on your delivery. And on your content, there is one point I can say is you can tell about yourself much more. You spoke only 5 minutes. You have 1 minute spare to speak about. You can tell about the more hobbies you do. It's a icebreaker speech. You can connect with the audience. When you match people, knowing people help us connect and collaborate with. That's the basic nature of icebreaker. You can tell more about your hobbies, what you like, what you don't like. So it helps to connect with the people. Overall, your speech was really good. You are excellent. You bring the humor in your speech, and you had the summary. The couple of improvements are eye contact, pauses, reflection on your classes, on delivery, on content, bring more hobbies or something more about URT. All the best for your next speech, and congratulations for completing your icebreaker speech. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Siva.
Thank you, Toastmaster Udaya, for wonderful evaluation. So we have completed all three sessions. Hope enjoyed all three sessions. Thank you, TTM Susan, for the wonderful table topic session. Thank you, evaluators, for your wonderful feedback. So, and I forgot to call a tag team once again. Let me invite Toastmaster Vinay to present the timer report.
It is time for the timers report. I'm going to share my screen so that you all can have a quick glance of how we've performed today. Can you just give me a thumbs up or just say yes if you're able to see the screen that I'm sharing now? Thank you. Most of them, yes, have been within time. I think just about 18 seconds, Jim, you extended, but since the trumpet was sounding good, we didn't mind that. And Catherine, a quick note, 9 seconds more had you spoken or just laughed a bit, you would have met the 1 minute minimum requirement for topics session as such. But otherwise, I think everyone was within time. I've also just made a quick mention of how long the Sergeant at Arms took to get us introduced to the meeting and get the meeting kickstarted. And also Siva, the theme that you have actually been practicing and sharing, that was about 6 minutes and 32 seconds. I haven't had an opportunity to time the grammarian and our counter first since I'm going first. So that's a quick timer report for you, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay, for a wonderful report. Let me call our counter, Toastmaster Namita, to present your report.
Thank you so much, Shiva. First of all, congratulations, everyone. You used excellent English, you have high proficiency. Apart from that, there were hardly any uses of filler words. I was in competition with Toastmaster Uday. I used 4 ads in my TT, and Toastmaster Uday Kumar, he used 6 in his evaluation. Apart from that, you used once, and Jim, you used off twice, to twice, but twice. Susan, Sparsh, Catherine, Toastmaster Mohini, Toastmaster Shiva, all of you used excellent English, perfect English. Congratulations again. Over to you, Toastmaster Shiva.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Namita. Let me call grammarian Toastmaster Catherine to present your report.
Is it possible for me to use my screen?
Yeah.
Please let me know if you can see my screen. For the word of the day, I'd like to give a very loud round of applause to Diana for using the word of the day. Toastmasters and guests, help me give Diana a big clap for using the word of the day. And if I have not heard you, you're welcome. You're welcome, Diana. And if I haven't heard you use the word of the day, please receive my sincere apologies. Yes. We had wonderful use of English, and I would like to commend the following people for words that we heard that were very, very inspiring. From Susan, as she gave her table topics, what tickles your funny bone? And she also used imagining by the use of your words as she was giving her evaluation to Jim, and the word phraseology. The other is may or may not know all the details for. I also heard from Jim, in the thick of, crazy scary, considered by many, sublime, pull out that imitation. And then from Namita, quite funny to me, a little bit of heaven, and coming to my mind. From our Toastmaster of the day, Siva, good mindset, natural humor in your speech. From Yvette, my dialect. To start off, first of 3, fairer in complexion, clearly and concisely. From Udaya Kumar, very confident, get a clear eye moment, important skill. And from Mohini, nothing humorous comes to my mind, humor is inborn. What are the areas we could work on? I mentioned them in red, and these were areas from Jim. I would like to suggest, it's a suggestion, it is my opinion. Instead of very attentive, take vigilant or observant. And from Sparsh, Jane, talk bad things about. We could use belittle, criticize, or talk bad about. And then from Yvette, chosen path of career is the right word, but you could choose profession to buy time for calling. And from Uday Kumar, connect with the audience instead of bring the audience to connect. Those are just suggestions. Overall, we had a wonderful, wonderful grammarian experience at this meeting. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Catherine, for a wonderful grammarian report. Listen, what a tag team! Entire evaluation was really good. Can you please give the huge round of applause to for tag team for the beautiful report? So we have completed all 3 sessions. Let me ask a few questions. As generally, my daughter used to ask some of the humorous questions. I won't take much time. Just a simple question. Try to answer it. The person, he reached office late. Do you know what is the reason of that?
School zone, go slow.
No, he didn't wake up earlier. Another next question. The same person next day went office earlier, but he didn't attend the meeting. Do you know what is the reason? I'll tell you. meeting was cancelled. The person is very perfect, but few places is not perfect. Where it is it? It's in home. Yeah. So with that, I give control to our president, Toastmaster Jim, to take it further. Over to Toastmaster Jim.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. You did a great job tonight. Deserve a tremendous round of applause, as does everyone who participated tonight. We saw tonight a groundbreaking timers report, a groundbreaking grammarians report. I had never seen reports delivered in that way. Very efficient, just excellent. Keep it up, please. And also too, just the participation of everyone was outstanding. Before we adjourn tonight, I would like for some of the guests who we had tonight to just say something briefly about what they thought of our meeting tonight, if you would. People who were here for the first time. Deanna, you can certainly write it out, and I'll make sure to read it to everybody. But sure. Sure. Yep, our pleasure. Sparsh, would you like to say a couple of words about
Sure,
what you
sure.
thought tonight?
Yes. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jim, for giving this opportunity. I would say I really liked the session today, in the sense it was, other than like what's generally in Toastmaster session, it was very interactive, and at any point, and at every point in the meeting, I felt like I was very involved, or everyone was involved, in the sense of they were called, maybe put on the dice at the time or something like that. And it was humorous at the same time, interactive, and at the same time we got a very good time and learn new things. And I really like the way how Timer presented their report, or how Grammarian presented their report. I really like that idea, how they managed it.
Thank
So,
you very much. And how
over
about
to you. It was a great time being here.
Thank you. And how about Mr. Udaya Kumar? I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes.
Okay. What did you think of our meeting tonight?
It is very interesting. You conduct a meeting in 1 hour and you give all the essence of Toastmasters. It's very surprising to me, but I loved the content and overall meeting structure and planning. I loved the meeting overall.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
May I know
like to...
from where this is. This meeting is completely online?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any announcements from our members? Namitha, Susan, Catherine, anything that you want to announce or say before we adjourn tonight? Thank you all so much for being here again, for making our meetings such a great place to be. Thank you all. Our next meeting is a week from tonight. That will be October the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Yeah, October 5th. Same time, same channel. Thank you all for being here tonight. Have a healthful and happy week. We'll see you back soon. And those who are here tonight, you're welcome back anytime. Did you want to say something, Yvette, before we
Yeah,
let you?
I just wanted to mention that I most likely wouldn't be able to join next week.
Okay.
Next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would recommend, Jim, that we stop our recording and then
Okay.
take the roles for next meeting.